The topics talk about first, introduction, second, internal and external balance with expenditure changing and expenditure switching policies. Third, equilibrium in the good market, in the money market, and in the balance of payment. 5. Fiscal and monetary policy for internal and external balance with fixed exchange rate. 6. The ISLMPP model with flexible exchange rates. 6. Policy mix and pricing. And finally, direct controls. Introduction. The chapter discusses adjustment policies for achieving full employment, price stability, and balance of payment. Equilibrium. James Smith emphasizes the shift from automatic mechanisms to adjustment policies. Nation aim to internal and external balance, growth, income distribution, and environmental protection. Policy instruments include fiscal and monetary policies, as well as expenditure switching policies and direct control. Fiscal policy involves government spending and tax, while monetary policies manipulates money, supply, and interest rates. Expenditure switching policies after exchange rates and direct control use measures like tariff and quotas. Nations must align policies with objectives considering the interplay between internal and external balance to avoid moving away from both goals. Timberlake principles suggest matching policies instruments with independent objectives. Failure to do so may result in moving farther from desired balance. Internal and external balance with expenditure changing and expenditure switching policies. This basic discusses the relationship between exchange rates, domestic expenditure, and the pursuit of internal and external balance. Through expenditure changing and expenditure switching policies, it introduces the AA curve for external balance and the YY curve for internal balance, illustrating how their interesting representation of point. Internal and external balance with expenditure changing and expenditure switching policies. This basic discusses the relationship between exchange rates, domestic expenditure, and the pursuit of internal and external balance. Through expenditure changing and expenditure switching policy, it introduces the AA curve for external balance and the YY curve for internal balance, illustrating how their interesting represent a point of simultaneous internal and external balance. The text emphasizes the need for a combination of policies in different economic zones and highlight historical practice under fixed exchange rates. The Swan diagram, named after economic Trevor Swan, visually represents this concept. First zone, external surplus and internal unemployment. Second zone, external surplus and internal inflation. Third zone, external deficit and internal inflation. Fourth zone, external deficit and internal unemployment. This curve intersects of point like A, where like nation is in equilibrium across goods, money, and balance of payment. Fiscal policies impact internal balance through the IS curve, while monetary policy affect external balance via the LMNBP curve. The model helps analyze how a nation can achieve both internal and external balance without changing the fixed exchange rate.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's jump to the next material, and we will talk about the fiscal and monetary policies for internal and external balance with fixed exchange rates. Okay, first of all, we have to know that in every macroeconomic or in every microeconomic too, we will always found that the that the goal from the graphic is to achieve a balance or an equilibrium. So because we here talk about the macroeconomic sector, we have to know that we have to imagine ourselves as the decision maker, as the country. So there are 4 cases in this material with different situation. So first is fiscal and monetary policies from external balance and unemployment. So what is actually happened in this situation? So this government has or acquired agreed unemployment or domestic unemployment in their country, while the others country had the equilibrium or the balance situation in their country. So the goal from the graph is to find the equilibrium, to find the balance fiscal or BF, as you can see on the graph. There based on the source that we use, eventually there is no specific question. So here it is. It's only a graph, and from this graph we have to know there are many instruments that have been discussed before. So next to the second situation, we will talk about the fiscal and monetary policies from external deficit and unemployment. So this situation led to a great suffer from this country, while the country acquired unemployment or a domestic unemployment, the other country had a deficit on their economy too. So in this situation, we need a higher point than the first one to tighten up or to find the balance or the equilibrium one. For the formula, we don't exactly know, but as you can see, there are many points in the graph. There are many points in the graph that shows the situation of that country. So let's jump to the next. The third is fiscal and monetary policies with elastic capital flow. So in this situation, we will talk about a country that have an elastic or flexible flows. Flows here means flows here mean the economic growth. So an elastic capital flow or an in fiscal and in a country that have the elastic economic growth, they are need a balance. They are need a balance situation based on the what happened on that country, which mean which mean that you can see there are two grid line. There are two grid or two lines that that touch each other. In that graph, we can describe or we can conclude that the IS or no, it's not the ISN and BF, but the BF get more point. So the last one is fiscal and monetary policies with perfect capital mobility. So the fiscal and monetary policies with perfect capital mobility means that the country have perfect agreed mobility on law and decision making. So once again, we don't barely understand about the graph, but you can see the graph and then try to analyze it. We have to know that the point of the graph is telling that the intersected one is the best option that you can choose as a government. So the next material will tell the next material that I will tell about it will deliver it later. So okay. So next we'll talk about the ISLM BP model with flexible exchange rate and perfect capital mobility. This model comes when the double situation that have been told, the perfect capital mobility and an exchange rate. So this is like this seems this is the shortcut to understand the the economic of that country. So as you can see on the graph, there are many E sectors and E and IS curve, LM curve, and BP. For the result, as you can see at the point, you know the okay. So a little fact about the ISLM-BP model. This model has been used for an economic policy formulation of open economic during the 4 decades. So it's come from 19th century. This this usable thing imply that this model is one of the solutive way on the open economic formulation, which mean in this case, the talk is about the fiscal policy and monetary policy. Okay, so the next material will be present by my friend.
Policy mix and pricings. A policy mix an internal and external balance. A figure movement along the horizontal axis away from the origin refers to expansionary fiscal policy, higher government expenditure, and or lower tax. Bill movement along the vertical axis away from the origin refers to tight monetary policy, reduction in the nation money supply, and increase in its interest rate. The PC discussed effective market classification and the policy mix in achieving both internal and external balance in a nation. It introduced the EB internal balance and EB external balance line representing combination of fiscal and monetary policy leading to internal and external equilibrium respectively. The IB line, inclined positively, saw a combination that achieve full employment with price stability. Expansionary fiscal policy requires a balancing tight monetary policy to the right and below the EB line. There is inflation while to the left and above there is unemployment. The EB line also positively inclined illustrates combination achieving equilibrium in the balance of payment and expansionary fiscal policy may work through trade balance requiring a tight monetary policy to attract capital and maintain external balance. To the right and below the EB line there is an external deficit, while to the left and above there is an external surplus. The crossing of the IB and EB line at point F defines the zone of internal and external imbalance. The EB line is flatter due to response of short-term international capital flow to interest differential, making monetary policy more effective in achieving external balance. The principal advocates extending monetary policy for external balance and fiscal policy for internal balance. The correct sequence of policy starting from any point of imbalance bring the nation closer to simultaneous external and external balance at point F. The more responsive international capital flow are, the flatter the EB line in relation to the IB line. B. Evaluation of the policy mix with price change. The basis criticizes the use of fiscal and monetary policies for internal and external balance with a fixed exchange rates. Challenges include uncertainties in capital flow response, the need for continuous monetary tightening, and coordination difficulties between fiscal and monetary authorities. Additionally, the assumed simplicity of achieving balance is questioned due to lack and the support management of fiscal and monetary policy in nations like the United States. Further complexity arises when considering the assumption of constant price until full employment, historical deviation, globalization effect, and the modern goal of achieving growth complicate the process. The passage concludes by emphasizing the evolving dynamic and challenge associated with pursuing multiple economic objectives simultaneously.
Policy mix in the real world. During the period of fixed exchange rate in the 1950 and 1960, large industrial countries, especially US, use fiscal and monetary policy for internal balance and only address external imbalance. When they were unavoidable, they prefer to direct control of capital flows rather than relying on monetary policy. In the era of flexible exchange rates since 1971, countries have generally allowed exchange rates to adjust to external imbalance while directing fiscal and monetary policy toward internal balance. Despite effort in managing exchange rates, volatility remains due to rapidly changing financial market expectations.
Direct control on a nation's balance of payment include trade control or tariff of quotas, financial or exchange control or restriction on capital flow, and other measures like price and wage control for domestic inflation. Trade control involve import tariff and export subsidies, while exchange control may include restriction on capital import or export and multiple exchange rates. Developing nations often employ exchange control like multiple exchange rates to influence import. Direct control, although less efficient, may be used for specific objectives such as inflation control. International cooperation is crucial for the effectiveness of the measure, as unilateral action may lead to retaliation. In general, this case does discuss the outline of the material discussing government policy regarding the expansion of the assistance program for purchasing battery-based electric motorbikes. The focus is a response to technological advance, environmental concern, and the goal of reducing carbon emissions through a transition to sustainable transport. Subsidies are considered a positive step, but need to consider infrastructure, price, and economic impact factors to achieve a sustainable economy.